What if every time you grabbed a coffee, rounded up your loose change, or skipped out on that $2 pastry, that tiny sum could quietly start working for you, growing, compounding, building wealth in the background? No lump sums, no complicated jargon, no crossing your fingers waiting for the next big payday. It sounds almost too simple. That's the magic and power of micro investing, literally building wealth £1, $1, or even 1 cent at a time. I'm going to try and explain this approach to money that a lot of people overlook. I'll share how micro investing works, why it's really good, especially if you're just starting out, my own reflections on giving it a try, and some science-backed reasons why it works. Plus, I came across something really interesting that hardly anyone mentions about this topic. So most of us weren't handed a portfolio by our parents or taught about stocks and investing in school. When I first heard about investing, it sounded like something rich people in suits did. Minimum deposits, the complicated terms used, it was intimidating. Even just years ago, the idea of getting started for less than the price of a sandwich was unthinkable. That's where micro-investing comes in. It's the most accessible way imaginable to join the world of investing. Basically, it's regularly putting aside small amounts, sometimes just $1 or even spare change, and sending it off to an investment account, usually through an app or on your phone. And the best part? You don't have to wait to have enough money. You can start now, however tiny the amount. For the price of your morning latte, you could be picking up fractional shares instead of waiting to afford a whole share of some big name stock. You basically end up getting a slice. Imagine if you start this with $5 weekly roundups. You won't notice the difference at first, I think, but after a couple of months, the money will quietly stack up. It also probably won't change your lifestyle, but it will definitely impact your mindset. Suddenly, you'll start to think like an investor. So how does micro-investing work in practice? Here's the magic. Most apps link to your bank card, and every time you buy something, they round up the purchase and toss the difference, say for example 37 cents, into an investment fund or portfolio. You can also schedule weekly or monthly deposits. These small, regular drips go straight into diversified investments, often ETFs or fractional stocks. It's automatic, easy, and best of all, it's hands-off. You really don't have to think about it. It's the modern version of tossing spare coins into a jar, except now your jar is earning a return in the market. But it's important not to let the simplicity fool you. The mathematics of small, consistent contributions plus compound interest is pretty crazy. Even tiny investments can snowball if you stick with it. And because it's automated, you fully avoid that trap of, I'm going to start investing next month, or maybe after I pay the bills. You can start now with whatever you've got. It's not bad for something you can set up while sitting on the couch. I'd love to know, has anyone tried the roundup feature? Or are you a more regular deposit kind of person? Leave it in the comments below. Okay, so let's talk about the benefits. Besides being incredibly easy to start, micro-investing does a few powerful things. Firstly, it removes the mental barrier. You don't have to wait until you're rich. It also forces consistency. Because it's all automated, you're investing without overthinking. Another advantage is that it builds financial habits. So just like exercising, investing is a habit. Small wins build confidence, which makes you more likely to keep going. And at the same time, it educates without any risk. Because you're only putting in pocket change, there's way less fear if the market dips, and you get to learn with training wheels on. And finally, it opens the door to diversification. So even on a tiny budget, you can own slices of different assets, spreading your risk and introducing you to concepts like ETFs. And here's one of my favorite facts from research. Micro investors often stick with it much longer than people who go big at first. Why? Because the pain of losing a little is almost nothing, but the thrill of watching it grow hooks you in. And for all the skeptics, studies do show that consistent small investments, sometimes called dollar cost averaging, help smooth out the market's ups and downs, so you're not stuck hoping you time things perfectly. Instead, you're building wealth steadily, without even noticing the cash leaving your account. And here's the unusual angle. Micro-investing isn't just about personal gain. Recent research has shown that micro-investors are actually more willing than traditional investors to put money into sustainable or ethical funds. Because the sums are small, people experiment with aligning their money with their values, and many choose investments that support green energy, social justice, and more. In one study of nearly 90,000 micro-investors, researchers found that people, especially younger investors, were way more likely to choose sustainable investments, even if it meant slightly less profit. For some, micro-investing has turned into a form of activism. It's a way to vote with your wallet on the future you want, without a huge risk or cost. So if you care about climate issues, equality, or other social causes, micro-investing does give you a real shot at making a difference. Your spare change could help shift real money into companies doing good. So having spoken about all of this, it is important to set expectations though. So here's the honest truth. Firstly, you're not going to get rich overnight. The growth is real, but it's slow at first. Also, fees can eat into your gains. You should watch out for apps that charge flat fees. It's okay on larger amounts, but can really cut into your returns if you're only investing a little amount. Also, it's a long-term gain. The key is patience. So the longer you let your investments compound, the bigger the result. And finally, setting goals matters. A lot of people set up micro funds for things like an emergency fund, guilt-free holiday cash, or even early retirement targets. For me, the biggest change wasn't suddenly seeing a huge account balance. It was realizing I'd actually developed a habit, one that genuinely moved me closer to my big picture goals. That investor mindset, honestly, it made me pay more attention to other parts of my financial life too. Okay, so what's the big takeaway? Micro-investing is not some get-rich-quick scheme. It is, however, one of the most powerful, accessible, and habit-building ways regular people can start building real wealth, right now, with whatever they've got. Whether you've got $1 or $100, it's all about starting and sticking with it. So the next time you buy a coffee or scroll past another ad for get-rich-fast schemes, remember, your financial future could literally start with a single coin. That's the power of micro-investing. Wealth built quietly, $1 at a time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.